Hello everybody, this is JP. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I've been wanting to make this series for a long time. Comic books actually used to be something I was really into when I was younger, and then I honestly, up until a month ago, hadn't read a comic in about 20 years, probably. But if you've been here before, then you might know that my most popular videos are either guitar lessons or Shadow Man. And that's cool with me because I really like talking about Shadow Man. It's my favorite franchise ever, of any kind, media franchise, period. If you're curious as to who is Shadow Man, it's actually a lineage. It's not one person. There are multiple characters in the comics, some more prominent than others. The most prominent being Jack Boniface, who is the star of basically any Shadow Man that isn't Michael LeRoi, which is just volume 2 and 3. Now my collection of the Jack Boniface books is really scattershot. It's all over the place, so I can't really look at those quite yet, but we will get there. However, the company responsible for the original run of Shadow Man was purchased by Acclaim in, I believe, 1994. This would lead to a bit of a series reboot a few years later starring Michael LeRoi, who is actually the character of both of the video games. Jack Boniface does not appear in any of these games, but Jack Boniface is getting his own game in the upcoming Shadow Man Dark Legacy. I don't know what to expect from this because there's only been like a teaser trailer that doesn't really show a whole lot, but I'm really looking forward to playing this one. Now, there will be a whole lot of videos about Shadow Man coming out on this channel. I want to do at least 1 or 2 of these comic recaps per week, starting with the first issue of Volume 2. These aren't terribly common. You'll find a lot more Jack Boniface in like the dollar bin at your local comic shop, but you can find these on eBay pretty cheap. The variant cover one was only $1 more than the regular one, which was only like $2 on its own. But more conveniently, the first 15 issues of Volume 2 are available in these trade paperbacks that Valiant put out right about the time that the remaster of the first game entered development. This one has the first 4 books in it, which are the ones that were made by Garth Ennis and Ashley Wood, and honestly, these are the best. What's cool about this book is it does contain the first 4 issues of Volume 2, as I said, but it also has Shadow Man Presents Deadside. I've actually never read those, so I'm really looking forward to that. And when we get to wherever it is in the line, because I'm not really sure canonically where this would go, but we will also be looking at the Turok and Shadow Man crossover. Now that we've got all of that out of the way, let's go to Deadside. Volume 2, Number 1, Deadside, released in March 1997. Jack Boniface was murdered in an extremely brutal fashion, and there's a hilarious joke about his signature saxophone. We then see a man being tortured by a group of very evil men, losing his nose, ears, and possibly fingers and toes before we are introduced to a hitman referred to as Zero. He easily disposes of everyone in the entire room before killing the torture victim. I'm unsure at this point if any of this is consistent with the first volume of Shadow Man, as I do not own all of those books yet, so I'll have to revisit this section once I have them all and make videos about those. Who is Zero? I'll be making a detailed video about him shortly, so for the purposes of this review I'll keep it brief, but as far as the reader knows, he is simply the next in line to be manipulated by Mom and Nettie. Nettie is in need of a new Shadow Man, as the dead men escaped Deadside thanks to Jaunty and nearly killed her and, as we saw, beat the absolute dog shit out of Jack Boniface. Zero has been chosen by Nettie because he is, and I quote, susceptible and a blank slate we can scrawl our own design on. Jaunty is completely opposed but has to go along considering his negligence is what led to this entire situation in the first place. We are given a glimpse into the other things in Zero's life, vodka and his brother's teddy bear. He doesn't have any memory of his former life, doesn't know his name, and only has one friend, the bartender Josie, the owner of the Wild at Heart. Basically, the only thing Zero does when he isn't murdering people is stare at this teddy bear. He doesn't know what he's seeing, and for now neither do we, but as he stares into the one remaining eye of the bear, he sees a gate. A strange gate made of bones, and the echoes of an incomplete thought seem to repeat just before he can make sense of it. The last few pages of the book introduce us to the aforementioned villains Tommy Lee Bones and company, known as the Dead Men. These guys are fucking hysterical, a strange ragtag group of lackeys made up of a man with 2 8-balls for eyes, creatively named 8-ball, a man with no bottom jawbone, creatively named Jawbone, and his right-hand man Toss. Worth noting, 8-Ball is in his current predicament because he beat ringleader Tommy Lee Bones in a game of pool. It is very clearly established that Tommy Lee Bones is not playing around. He shoots himself in the head several times to prove that he cannot be killed by ordinary means. He murders a couple cops before literally throwing their police cruiser into a nearby bar, declaring that the dead men are running things, and Bones is back as the car explodes, presumably killing several if not all of the patrons at the bar. This is one hell of an introduction to the villains and sets the stage for what's to come. To recap, we've met Zero, Nettie, Jaunty, Josie, and the Dead Men. It has been established why Zero has been chosen to be the new Shadow Man, what happened to the last Shadow Man, and what he will be going up against should he go on to become the new Shadow Man. What does all of this mean? We'll find out next time as we look at Deadside Part 2. Thank you for watching.